Welcome back to Fireplace Time with Honey. In this video, we're going to talk about how education is key to preparing for parenthood. My name is Hani Twersky, mother of 8, and in the last 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families create a rewarding family life. By the end of this video, you're going to know the 3 areas to best invest your time, energy, and attention to educate yourself on. And once you study these 3 areas, your confidence will skyrocket because knowledge is power. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're curious, and you want to know what you need to learn prior to starting a family. First thing you need to educate yourself on is child. What does child mean? What is a child? If you want to become a parent, you want to bring a child into the world. Do you understand why it would be important for you to know and to educate yourself, at least the basics of what a child is? So there is a very formal way of learning what childhood means by studying childhood development from when a baby is conceived, and all the stages of childhood development is very important to know the basics so that knowing what a child is not foreign to you. So that when you actually get to hold your own child, you actually get to carry your child, if you're a woman, in your body, or support your woman who carries the child and gives birth to a child. Seek to educate yourself. Don't give away your power by letting only professionals understand what a child is. Because if you are to become a parent, don't you think it would be helpful and important for you too to know what a child is? A very effective way of learning about children is to engage with children. Whether it's helping out with caring for children in family members, in your own family, whether it's nieces and nephews or neighbors, the more you engage with children and you observe children, you care for children, that's the best form of learning. I was 14 when I became the eldest in my family. My mother had a lot of children, and I automatically became the caretaker of the real young children. My mother needed a lot of help. She had multiple roles to fill, community leader, and she had a large family. It was almost self-understood that I'm going to need to care for the 3 youngest in my family. My youngest brother was a baby. I had 2 sisters who were 2 and 3. I would put them to sleep, bathe them, wake them up to go to school, care for them. When I look back at that time, and also being a mother of 8 later on in my own life, I can testify that the love that I had to my siblings was a very maternal type of love. I really loved them as if they were my own children. So that gave me an informal course on parenting, and it helped me tremendously. It gave me a lot of understanding of what a child is. And it was only when I was in my 30s that I re-enrolled into higher education and started to learn psychology and really delve into learning formally about childhood development to have the information on a more professional level. And of course, if you don't have family or a way to help out or volunteer your time, you can actually work in facilities that care for children, whether it's babysitting or childcare services. Another way that you can learn about children is to work with children professionally, whether it's being a teacher or a teacher's assistant, especially with younger children where those years are way more formative. But of course, you want to learn about children from any age. The more you expose yourself, seeing them in real life, the more you will be able to learn about children. You can really get to know children in real time. It doesn't matter how you choose to educate yourself as long as you allow yourself to really learn and study about children. And if you want to build your dream family even faster, I created a special quiz for you that you can take right now. It's in the descriptions below. The second area to educate yourself on is parent. Understanding what parent means. What does it mean to be a parent? If you are enrolling into this role of becoming a parent, don't you think it would be helpful for you to know what it means to be a parent? And although mainstream society has accepted the approach of, yes, I am going to learn how to be a parent once I'm a parent. Of course I'm going to know what a parent is once I'm a parent. But do you think that's fair? Imagine a lawyer is going to say, oh, of course I'm going to learn what it means to be a lawyer once I am a lawyer, once I practice law. Or I'm going to learn how to be a doctor once I have patients. Or I'm going to learn how to be a teacher once I have students. You first have to learn what it means to be a doctor. And only then can you qualify to become a doctor. I can't forget a statement made by my late mentor, who I trained with over the span of a couple of years until he passed away in 2019. He said, in the last 35 years of my practice as a trauma specialist, working with couples or individuals and healing their childhood trauma, they all came to me as adults, of course. And none of them, out of the many thousands of people who crossed my door and my healing practice, none of them has prepared before having a child. In all my years, I only came across one couple who consciously prepared for parenthood. Now, because society has deemed not preparing for parenthood normal, it doesn't make it normal. As Pia Mellody says, that a lot of dysfunction in our society has become normalized, but that doesn't make it necessarily normal or functional. It still creates passing on dysfunction and generational trauma. But you don't need to continue that. So there are 3 things that I would recommend you should focus on when learning about parent. Number 1, what are your responsibilities? What is a parent's responsibility? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So really study those. Allow yourself to get the depth and the breadth of the responsibilities of a parent. And it might take some time to learn that, but once you learn it, you will have that information forever. The second thing that I would recommend you should study is, what is your role? What does it mean to be a parent? What does that role constitute? And I'll share with you a story of a client of mine who was suffering from a very difficult partner who he ended up divorcing, but she really interfered with his parenting role and really tried hard to alienate his children from him. And what I learned and shared with his father as well, and something I want you to consider learning as well, is that nobody can replace your role. And not only that, but nobody can take away your parental role. They can attempt to, but they can't. Only you can walk away from your role as a parent if you choose to, which is not something I would recommend. Understanding the parental role is something I recommend you should delve into in really studying that as well. And finally, the third thing that I would recommend you should study is the impact that a parent has on a child. I know I was a high school teacher for 18 years. That means every single year I would have a new class coming in. I taught 10th grade, I taught 12th grade, which means they were already young adults. And let me tell you something. As a high school teacher, I was able to recognize on each of my students what family they come from. They all went to the same school for 12 years. But what was really striking in each of my students were their family, the role their parents had in their life. I was able to tell almost the first day of school if this student of mine came from a functional family or a dysfunctional family. And yes, it did create a natural mentoring role in me. In those 18 years, I was able to support many of those girls on a one-on-one basis, and it gave me a lot of experience in understanding teenagers and really helping teenagers heal from whatever they have gone through in their life. So when you learn about the parental role, I would like you to understand what it means, the impact that you have, as if you're playing with soft clay that is one day going to be hardened and formed into something. But when you give birth to this child, each of your facial expressions, whether you smile to your child or you frown, and you're angry about what your spouse tells you, but your child picks it up. Your child sees the respect you have for one another. Study the impact that a parent has on children. And of course, there isn't 100% impact that a parent has on the child because a child has a soul. There is a godliness which leaves choice in a human being, no matter what your parents have done to you. That's why you can heal now from what your parents have done. But if you want to become a parent and optimize your child's experience as a child, you want to learn about the kind of impact that only a parent has on their child. Area number 3, the third thing to educate yourself on is partnership. Parenting is not something you do yourself. And of course, there are single parents. Sometimes you need to do it all by yourself. In an ideal situation and in the kind of family that you want to create right now is to understand how partnership works. Parenting is a partnership. Every child has 2 parents. And knowing how to work in partnership, knowing how to create that kind of partnership that is harmonious, it's healthy, it's flowing, it's teamwork, is something I would encourage you to educate yourself on. But I would recommend, since you are, before you even start your family, to really study everything about partnership. Because starting a family is like starting a business together. This is a business for life. I would encourage you to learn how to communicate. I always say there is never too much communication. So if you're in doubt, rather communicate about it, inform, create agreements. So there is no assumption, there's no guessing, and there's no projection, and the agreements are clear. And of course, you also want to educate yourself on how to resolve conflict, because in any partnership, conflicts will arise, disagreements will come up, and there has to be some kind of process in how you work through any conflict. So educate yourself on what is a child, what is a parent, what does partnership mean? And once you really learn all 3 areas, your confidence will skyrocket. And if you want to build your family, your dream family, even faster, I created a special quiz for you that you can take right now. It's in the descriptions below. I look forward to seeing you in our next video.